In this video, I will be showing the functions of all the fan connections on the ASRock P67 Extreme 4 B3 motherboard. Other similar ASRock boards may have the same layout and functionality as this board. So first off, I will just say that there are 6 different places on the motherboard where you can plug in fans, and each one of them is different, which is crazy. No two are the same. So I've actually made a chart that details specifically what connection does what, so you can figure out the best place to plug in each of your fans. You can figure out where you want each one, how many fans you have, which one you want to control, which one you don't. So quickly I'm going to describe all the different fans on the motherboard, fan connections. So starting with the top middle here is called the CPU fan 1, and this is used for actually your heatsink fan on your actual CPU. And this is a 4-pin connection, so that means it is temperature controlled, because most CPU fans, I'm sure, would have 4-pin connectors. Even the stock one does. And that'll allow you to keep a low fan speed while your system is cool, and when your system is heating up, your fan speed can increase, which is great. There's 10 different speed levels for CPU fan 1, and the lowest speed that I achieved was 1300 RPM from my 2000 RPM stock heatsink fan there. Okay, right beside that is CPU fan 2. It's kind of blurry there, but it is a 3-pin connection, and this does have temperature control because it is directly tied into CPU fan 1. It doesn't have its own individual temperature control, but it takes temperature control from CPU fan 1. And it also has 10 different speed levels, which is also dictated by CPU fan 1. So what you could do is plug in another fan that you would want temperature controlled, that's only a 3-pin, into that location, and it would just go along with the temperature of your system, which is great. I'm not using it right now because of a few reasons, but I want to keep that open for when I get a fan on the side or the bottom of my case. Okay, next fan we have is chassis fan 3. Sorry, chassis fan 1. There's 3 of these. Each one is different. So chassis fan 3, kind of blurry again. You can either use a 3 or 4-pin. There is temperature control only on the 4-pin fans. There's 10 different speed levels in 3 or 4, and I was only able to get, I had a 700 RPM fan hooked into that, and I couldn't get it to go any slower than that. So I'm thinking that maybe 700 RPM is the slowest you can go, but maybe if you have a slightly faster one than that, you might be able to draw it down a bit further. So chassis fan 1, you can use a 3 or 4-pin. I am not using that right now. Chassis fan 2 and 3 are side by side in the kind of rear middle area. Chassis fan 2 is actually on the right. Chassis fan 3 is on the left. Chassis fan 2 is a 3-pin connection, therefore no temperature control. There are 4 different speed levels, and during my trials I was able to get 500 RPM with a 700 RPM fan. That's the lowest I got. And I was able to get 700 RPM on a 1200 RPM fan. A nice drop there. And so chassis fan 3, which is on the left side, is a 3-pin connection as well. No temperature control. There is 10 different speed levels on this one, and the lowest I achieved was a 300 RPM with a 700 RPM fan, and a 400 RPM with a 1200 RPM fan. So that's a lot less than chassis fan 2. which is interesting. So if you want a fan to be the lowest possible RPM on your entire motherboard, you want to put it in chassis fan 3. And actually, let's see, there's going to be screenshots I'm posting throughout this. I might have already done it already while I'm talking, that show you the ASRock Extreme tuning utility and speed fan. With the ASRock Extreme tuning utility, you're able to adjust your fan speeds and all that. And with speed fan, I was only able to change the speed on a couple of these fans, but I was actually able to take the speed of chassis fan 3 all the way down to 0 to actually stop the fan. And I couldn't do that with the ASRock Extreme tuning utility. I can only do that with speed fan. So if there's a fan that you want to control entirely, put it in chassis fan 3. You can use your tuning utility and just have it kind of always on but really low, or if you actually want to turn it off completely, you can use speed fan and have that one turn all the way off. That's the only one I could turn it all the way off on. All the other connections, the fan was always on, at least somewhat. Okay, the very last fan here, just looking at my chart, is the power fan. And that's all the way up at the top, just underneath the 8-pin connection there. That's also a 3-pin. There's no temperature control, and there's only one speed. Go, Charlie Sheen. And it's always on max speed. You cannot change it at all. So if there's a fan that you just want plugged in without having to route another cable from your Corsair to plug it in, you can just run the cable up there, maybe down through the top, plug it in there. It'll always be on, running at max speed. So it's good, it's bad, depends on what you want. You got to figure out what you want. I'm using just chassis fan 2 and 3 for my rear and top, because I want those adjustable. And my front one, actually, I have plugged in directly to the power supply. So that's going to be running at 700 RPM. I was going to have it running at 700 RPM anyways, so I just plugged it straight into the power supply, and that allows me to turn the LED, red LED, on or off, because you can plug it in here. I just unplugged this. You can plug it in here and have it connected with the 4-pin adapter and plug the 4-pin into your power supply for your LED to work. Okay, so look at the charts, look at the screenshots, figure out what fans you want, how fast you want them spinning. And I will mention that the loudest fan that I have is actually the CPU stock fan. I should have replaced this thing. It's pretty loud. Even on the lowest setting, it's the most audible fan in the system. And then the second most would probably be the top fan. So that's why I have that one on my chassis fan 3. So I can get that down to 300 RPM, or I can actually turn it all the way off using speed fan. And then my rear one is the next most loud, and then probably, I don't know, all the rest. You got your graphics card, your power supply, which I don't even know if that one turns on at low temperatures, and then the one in the front's pretty quiet, so I have that running at 700, no problem. But I would recommend actually replacing the CPU fan. Get something really quiet. You know, spend an extra $10 and get a quality one that's nice and quiet. That's about it. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments or whatever. If you want me to do a specific video on any of the parts that are in here, also leave a comment. Otherwise, I'm going to be making gaming videos. Spend my time doing that. A little more fun. Okay, later.